Honorable Donald John Trump.
President of the United States Constitution of the United States.
Donald Trump has a lot of fans. I'm not just talking about his supporters. Trump has a lot of fanboy colleagues as well. Devoted members of his Republican Party fawning over him, willing to do anything for the new US president, including giving him more time in power by changing the American Constitution itself. One of those oh-so-loyal Republicans is Andy Ogles. This man, he is a member of the US House of Representatives. Yesterday, he introduced a resolution, a proposal to amend the US Constitution to usher in a third Trump presidency. Here is the resolution in question. It proposes a change in the presidential term limit. Instead of limiting it to 2 terms, the limit is increased to 3. That is the proposal. Now, some of you may think that doesn't apply only to Trump. There are some former US presidents who are still alive, presidents who served 2 terms, like Bill Clinton, George W. Bush, and of course Barack Obama. They're all around. Wouldn't this amendment allow them to run too? The eternally loyal Ogles thought of this. So he added an extra condition. Here's what it says, I'm quoting, "No person shall be elected to the office of the president more than 3 times, nor be elected to any additional term after being elected to 2 consecutive terms." So Clinton, Bush, and Obama get ruled out because they served 2 consecutive terms as president. This clause seems customized for Donald Trump. His type of presidency is quite rare. 2 non-consecutive terms. It has only happened once before in the United States. Only once in US history, and it was back in 1893 when Grover Cleveland won the 2nd term after losing the previous election. Yes, 1893. So you know that Trump's situation is extremely rare. The only other person alive who could benefit is ironically Joe Biden. If Biden somehow wins the 2028 US presidential election, and then again in 2032. Since Biden would be 90 years old in 2032, we can safely rule him out. So as you can see, this amendment is tailor-made for Donald Trump. I'm sure he'll be thrilled with the bright and crafty Ogles. There's just one problem though, maybe something that Ogles overlooked. Apparently, the US Constitution is difficult to change. A 2/3 majority is needed in both the House and the Senate. Now, the Republicans control both houses of Congress, but they do not have a 2/3 majority in either of the houses. So unless they can get some Democrats to agree, the proposed amendment is DOA, dead on arrival. Even if it passes somehow, 38 out of the 50 US states need to ratify it. Now, 22 states are run by the Democrats, so the numbers do not add up. Therefore, the whole resolution starts to look like a gimmick, a way for Ogles to grab attention and display his loyalty to Donald Trump. Trump has mentioned a 3rd term before, quite a few times in fact, though it always seemed to be a joke. But now his party is introducing proposals to that effect. So it may be something that he really wants. This merits a look into the precedents. In about 250 years of US history, only one person has served more than 2 presidential terms. Just one person, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, FDR. He won the presidency 4 times, back to back. He served from March 1933 to April 1945. FDR died about 80 days into his 4th term because of poor health, but he became president 4 times. And FDR is the reason that presidential term limits were put in place. The limits were added in 1951 via the 22nd Amendment to the US Constitution. That's the one that Ogles wants to change. Before 1951, there were no official term limits. However, as I said, no one ever served more than 2 terms anyway because of convention. The first US president was George Washington, the man who kicked the British out. George Washington served 2 terms from 1789 to 1797. Then he chose not to contest a 3rd term. Washington established the precedent of 2 terms, then out. And this tradition was an informal one, but it was kept alive for almost 150 years. FDR finally broke it. That's why the US brought in an official term limit after him, and it's unlikely that this will change.
From breaking news to the day's biggest controversies, shedding light on the world's top headlines, detailed analysis on the stories that matter the most to you. Catch it all on Spotlight at 6 p.m. India time and 12:30 GMT, only on Firstpost.